Hey, welcome everyone to the Productivity Expert Series. I am so glad that you joined myself and my guest. My name is Cardiff D. Hall, and I focus on productivity. And this series is focused on leveling up your productivity in several areas of your life. And today, we're going to focus in on the area of entrepreneurship. But hold on. Let's say that you're not an entrepreneur. I'm going to guarantee you there's going to be value in our conversation today with this expert. I want to introduce you to the guest. His name is Steve Gerten. He is now full-time residential and commercial realtor in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis. Steve recently made the full-time transition from a comfortable career in consumer products goods marketing in pursuit of having a more impactful relationship with his end users. The jump from the corporate safety net came with unlimited number of uncertainties, and we're going to dive into those, but going all in and investing his time benefited his direct sphere in his newfound force in life. Steve spearheads a group called the Entrepreneur Catalyst Group, which is a group of laid-back, authentic, and genuine network marketing individuals by helping them get through the struggles with the risk that they encounter when they go into the entrepreneur roller coaster. On the home front, Steve and his wife live in the St. Louis Park, Minnesota area, have a golden doodle named George, and are gearing up to head into a new adventure called parenthood. Baby G is due in June of 2019. A fantastic month, by the way, because I'm a June person. So, Steve, welcome to the Productivity Expert Series interview.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. Excited to chat a little bit today, have a little dialogue, and kind of take you through my journey thus far, and help some of the listeners out that are chiming in here.
Well, fantastic. It's great to have you on here. And let me share a little story about how I met Steve. I was at a local Starbucks, and I love Starbucks. Plug for Starbucks there. But I saw this poster, and it said Entrepreneur Catalyst Group, and it intrigued my interest because I'm in a full-time corporate career. I am helping clients elevate their productivity so they can achieve and reach their legacy. And it grabbed my attention, and I reached out to the group, and that's how Steve and I connected. And I'm going to tell you, those of you watching this, that Steve, yeah, he's a young guy. I'm much older than Steve, but he has his stuff together. And I thought I'd talk to him about this whole entrepreneurship roller coaster. And even if you're in a job today and you have no desire to be an entrepreneur, hey, that's okay. But I'm going to tell you, there's going to be some nuggets and some value here for you. But perhaps you're on the fence. In 2019, you have this idea for perhaps a home business that you want to get involved with, or perhaps it's maybe doing something part-time to generate some additional income for you and your family. Whatever it is, This is going to be a fantastic interview. So, Steve, at the essence of productivity as an entrepreneur, can you just break that down for us? What does that look like in terms of, fully being an entrepreneur and productivity within that specific realm of focus?
Yeah. Actually, just taking a step back, I think when you messaged me on Facebook, it's kind of amazing when you're, and that's kind of how you and I originally had our discussions starting, just a random Facebook message of dude, this is what I'm up to. You're in the CPG world too. So it's kind of funny how our paths were in that environment. And then I truly believe that just with technology in general these days, people have at their disposal so much opportunity to produce a side hustle and do something on the side, whether it doesn't have to be anything that makes you money per se, but it could be something philanthropic or any number of things on the side. It is just having resources at your disposal and putting yourself out there to like actually, build a legacy and build something that you want for the rest of your life. And when you talk about productivity in the series of what we're talking about, it is, entrepreneur, everybody can be an entrepreneur. And that's what like the entrepreneur group is, right? Is either you have people who have brilliant ideas, but are just sitting there because of their complacency at times of like comfortability. I have a 9-to-5, I get biweekly paychecks. I have benefits, right? And those are all great things. But like in my mind, like you are one bad year within your company away from starting over and starting from scratch. Like when you get up to a certain level, director level, whatever it is, like if you have a bad year, you lose an account, like you're going to be starting over somewhere else. And that's where people always ask, like, it was a huge leap for myself to go from working within a marketing role at a director level, completely cutting and cutting ties with that, and jumping into what my gateway was real estate. Like I love helping people out in purchasing and selling homes. Like it's not the home that I love. It's more of that one-to-one interaction with an individual, and doing so along those lines. So taking it back to productivity and what I think we're going to be talking about today is like what does productivity mean? Like how do you break up your day? And how do you know like you're fulfilled at the end of the day, maybe to a certain extent. And there's no scarier thing than cutting ties with a full-time job and going to zero. Like that is the scariest thing in the entire world. And in order to ramp up quickly, like you said, I'm young. I'm in just my first full year of real estate. And it just takes it takes that certain individual to just like bear down and hustle the heck out of things and know that like if you just do those things in the right order, then you're gonna crush it at the end of the day. So
yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And I love that you said, Steve, that even if you want to do something that doesn't, and in essence, create income, but someone can do a side hustle that that is philanthropic, that they have this idea for a foundation or whatever it may be. Productivity is still part of that, right? Productivity is still part of being an entrepreneur, starting a foundation, being an entrepreneur, starting a service to help others, right? Yeah. So I love that you mentioned that. So let's kind of talk. You said you've been a year in the real estate industry. Let's talk about, when did you have this idea of kind of leaving the consumer goods industry and going out on your own? When did this idea come? Did it come overnight? Did it come in a dream? Well, tell me more about that.
Yeah. It always, like, people always say, like, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I was going to work for myself. And the glamour and glitz behind that, like, people think that being an entrepreneur allows you to travel all the time and like you're going to be rich. Like that's what the perception tends to be. And right now we're in this, like, the economy, and now actually the market's actually not doing so well this week, if you've been paying attention to that. But like right now there is such a flood of entrepreneurs, any of those people that think that they can just cut ties, because there's so much either stupid money out there that people are funding these startups, and they're like, oh yeah, go ahead, here you go, I have disposable income, and go ahead and do it. At some point, like, there is going to be a massive reset. You're going to see a lot of those entrepreneurs who aren't productive, that are really working 9 to 5, which that's great if you work in a corporation, but when you're working for yourself, like, there is no 9 to 5. My days, if I'm planning correctly, I'm up at 3:50 in the morning. My wife and I go and work out at a workout class at 5 to 6, get home, make breakfast. I already have my clothes laid out for the week, because Sundays are like our day to get everything planned. Because if I have to spend brain power, thinking about what I'm going to wear, like that could be 15 minutes of lost time.
Right.
So I'm hammering away by about 7 o'clock in the morning, and hammering away to me is anything from like when you run your own business, you're doing all your marketing, you're doing all your operations, you're tracking expenses, your sales, you're all of it. Mm-hmm. So having a calendar that keeps me accountable to every little thing. Our office is in downtown Minneapolis. Like I'm getting downtown, and my schedule, if I pulled it up, like there is critical time blocks for every little piece that I have to do. Because ideally as a realtor, like you're selling, but that's not sustainable. What's sustainable is generating leads, doing things from a marketing standpoint, but also having a system and a process in place that allows that to be repeatable day in and day out, where Monday through Friday, I'm hammering away doing what I need to get done from my real estate side of things. But on Saturday and Sunday, I'm out on listing presentations. I mean, that's when individuals need, like that's when they're available. So you have to be available, and you have to be okay getting out there, and really just, it becomes your life. It is your lifestyle. And so I always think about like, there's so many people jumping in. So back to my earlier point is like, there's going to be a lot of trimming of the fat. It'll happen within the real estate industry. There will happen within all the industries in general. I mean, even consumer packaged goods, like there are so many tiny brands that pop up on a quarterly basis. And what happens? They just get purchased, and they all get gobbled up by General Mills or Pepsi or what have you.
Right.
Eventually it all has a way of leveling out. And so the point that I want to make is like, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur in per se. I knew I would be working for myself.
Okay.
But the biggest thing for me was just the amount, like my return on time, I would say, was the biggest factor from the corporate world of like, to a point I made earlier of what if I'm 50 and now I have a couple little ones running around and all of a sudden I get laid off. Well, now I'm out in the marketplace, and why not take that time as a 30-year-old individual? And if I'm ever going to screw up and like massively screw up, it's probably a good time to do that when I'm 30. I have no kids. Well, now I have one on the way, and it's like, oh crap. Like now we really have to get sprinting. Like now it becomes real.
Right.
But it was that time of like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to jump in. And if I screw up, like, and I tell this to people that like I'm getting coffees with through that entrepreneur group all the time, because there are a lot of people that struggle with this. I struggled to make the jump for 2 years. I knew I didn't want to be in the corporate setting, but I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have that grand idea of, I'm going to launch a suite software, I'm going to start a shoe brand, or any of that. It was like, what am I good at? And people always say like, we'll follow your passion. Yeah. I personally believe that that's BS, because I'm really passionate about sports. Like, but I can't get up and go become a baseball player out of like I can't go and make money playing professional baseball. It's just not feasible. Yeah. But what I look at is like, what do people tell you you're good at? Because if people are telling you you're really good at, I've always been told I'm really good at one-to-one relationships. So talking one-on-one with an individual, grabbing coffee, and like genuinely listening to what they're saying, and trying to help and connecting people. And that's what I started doing. And I was connecting people. And in a business that in real estate, like if you are a connector, you thrive off of referrals. And then people start coming to you and saying, hey, I heard you're the guy to work with for X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And that started happening, but it didn't just happen overnight. It was a constant, like, you got to be out there. You got to be doing things that are generating profitability for you in general. And so like, it's an authentic career. And it's one of those where that whole passion thing, it's like, yes, I'm passionate, but I'm not passionate about like homes in general. That's terrible of me to say, but like when I go walk into a home with a client of mine, or when I'm selling their home, like, yes, there is an attachment from their perspective, but my job is to be the third party. I'm analytically focused. So I'm going to go in and say, yes, that's gorgeous, but I'm not like a HGTV superstar that goes in and is like, wow, look at that quartz countertop and look at the mahogany chest. Like, That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm really good at understanding the needs and the why behind the individual.
Yep.
And that's what helped me get into the realm that I'm in now. So
Yeah, you said there's a lot, and I want to unpack kind of some key things that you said, Steve. So, one, you said, don't follow your passion, follow what people tell you you're good at.
Yep.
Right. So let's break that down. Right. So, how did you know that you were good at that one-on-one, and how did you translate that to, well, maybe real estate is where I should go?
That's a great question. I mean, really, it's the mentorships that you seek out. So, like,
Okay.
being vulnerable, contacting random people and saying, like, you are, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, what have you, and looking at like surrounding yourself with really successful people will ultimately, you'll find success that way. Like, I'm a firm believer in that, and that's why our team here, like, I joined up with the individual that I'm working with now, young guy as well, but just like a good, genuine human being that is finding a lot of success. And so, like, ultimately, if I surround myself with him, like, I should find success, unless, again, I'm not trying or I'm not doing what I need to do.
Right.
But it's a lot of just feedback. I'm not qualified to pick up and all of a sudden start a bar or any of that. Like, if I'm passionate about the restaurant business or any of that, like, I'm not qualified to do it. Like, I might really enjoy the day-to-day abilities of that, but if they don't associate with me with running a bar or restaurant, like, it's not going to work out. I think it's not sustainable in my perspective. And so, when people tell you on a daily basis and they enjoy, like, I'm not good when I speak in front of people because I'm terrible. I always think about that. When I'm talking to you, it's like I'm looking in a mirror, and it's one-on-one. Like, that's where I'm laser focused on doing it. And
Great.
I feel like I have now become a servant of my community more so than anything. And when I was in the corporate world, like, I wasn't. I would do it on the side a little bit, but corporate world, or in my previous job, it was, man, I'm burned out and it's 5 o'clock. It's time. I can go work out now. I can go eat dinner, and then I'm watching TV for 3 hours at night. But I just didn't feel satisfied after that. Like, I always kept going back to, like, where do I see myself when I'm 50? And I think we're going to get into that, and just like the journaling aspect, which has been just so influential. One of my best friends started doing it and said, you should just try doing this. And I picked it up and started doing it. And it's a great exercise that now, as you keep doing it daily, like, now it's a part of my everyday ritual, which is
perfect.
So,
right. So good. I'm glad that you mentioned that you need to be around other people. So as you are watching this, I want to ask you a question. Who are you surrounding yourself with that is a positive influence and is a truth teller? You see, we can surround ourselves with a lot of different people, but we want truth tellers. If you were to ask someone who you respect, hey, what am I good at? And they tell you the truth, what's your response? Mm-hmm. You see, I think that's a lot of what makes people take certain avenues down the journey of life, but it's really being connected to a truth teller, being connected to someone that is going to pour into you, someone that has already been there in terms of what you deem success is to be connected to them. So I'm glad, Steve, that you said that. Now I want to come back, and you said, you migrated to this from corporate America to entrepreneurship. Did you exit, like, hey, I'm doing this and I don't know where my income is going to come from? Like, tell us right now, man, because I've heard so many stories of corporate, people that have said, I'm done with my corporate job, and they fall flat on their face because, they didn't transition. So tell us about your journey as it relates to that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Like, I was blessed in that I was able to start it part-time. Like, with my other job, I was flexible. At that point, I was kind of like writings on the wall. When I was in it, my 22 through 26 was I was working long hours, and I was climbing the corporate ladder of like from an associate level to a project manager level to a director level, and was doing fine. And like every year would get my pay increase, which is great. Like I'm making, my graph is going like this, right? Like, it's going, but I wanted I wanted this and then that, and then this and that, having a graph like that. And so, no, I did not cut cold turkey, but I was able to make it a side hustle for 6 months. Awesome. And build that sustainability. And that's why I think that if you have the idea, like you should do it. The biggest problem that people have is like I went into work, I'm exhausted. It is 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock whenever I get home. And this weekend I'm going out partying with my friends, or this weekend we're traveling, or this weekend I have family coming into town. So I can't, like my weekends are tied up. Right. But what I was doing was 9 to 5 was I was working my corporate job. From 5 till 8:30 at night, I was either working on getting my license, or I was working on marketing material, boosting up my marketing presence on Facebook and Instagram, and starting to communicate like, hey, if you're ever thinking about buying or selling, I'm your guy. Eventually what happened was people viewed me as the part-time guy, but which hurt me, which ultimately was like, oh crap, I need to, like, my friends and family aren't utilizing me because they don't think I'm taking it serious. It's time for me to jump ship. If it's a different role, like if you're, whatever it is, like if you're starting and maybe it's a network marketing vehicle that you can subscribe to, like it's so easy to get into. I could do Rodan and Fields. I could do Beauty Counter. You see it all the time.
Right.
It starts as a side hustle. Yep. And eventually they build up critical mass and they say, boom, I'm out. Yes, you're going to take that initial hit of, man, it stinks. I was making $5,000 a paycheck, whatever it is. And all of a sudden there is no paycheck, right? And you have to learn to adapt. But I think that is, if you're not motivated by that, like then you're not in the right thing. Cause I'm lucky. I don't live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm super competitive where like, if I'm not outpacing my peers, then I'm doing something wrong, or they're doing something better than me. And I genuinely like want to be better than them. And that's just what's inside of me. That's my burning desire of, I just want to be better and continuing to improve every single day. And so it starts with surrounding yourself with great people. It starts with having people like yourself that are teaching and doing great things to provide resources. Cause now there's no excuse to say I didn't know about X, Y, or Z. Like I have audiobooks. I've listened to like 60 books this year to help me in so many different aspects of my life, whether it is faith, family, whether it is about the real estate industry in general. Like there's so much media now that you can consume that it makes it pretty difficult to like, I don't want to call it success, because I'm nowhere near. Like that's why I think that this is a unique interview in that, like I'm only in my first year. So like the struggle is real. Like I struggle. I have really good days, but I have really bad days. 2 days ago, I had an agreement fall apart the last day. Like something happened and it crushed me, because I was crushed for my client that can't buy their home. And that stuff happens. And for me, it's commission based. You get paid when you sell a home. And so that I was counting on, it's just like, wow, to end my 2018, that's not where I wanted it to be. And that's that roller coaster ride of there are really good days, there are bad days, but if you have a really good day, it's not like I can go travel for 6 months and say, peace out. Like, if I'm gone, he's taking care of my baby.
Exactly. And just to let you know, if you're tuning in for the first time, this is the Productivity Expert Series. We're talking about entrepreneurship with expert Steve Gerten. He's a real estate investor in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis. And you are sharing some fantastic things. But I don't
know if we can call myself an expert. Let's be.
Hey.
It's more of like I would frame it up as someone who's going to give you the real talk of
perfect.
Of there's no fluff. There can be any fluff, right?
Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's an expert. You know, that's going to be real and honest and genuine, and that's the definition of an expert. I want to tap into something you said, that you know, your story about things fell apart, right? And every single day, you watching this, things may not go your way, right? What you expect may not happen. You plan for this, things go sideways. Steve, I want to talk about the input that you do on a daily basis as it pertains to journaling, because I know journaling is part of your routine, is part of your daily process. So talk about journaling. When did you first start journaling in the aspect of this entrepreneurship, or did you start before?
Yeah. So journaling to me started out as like, because I'm driving around a lot, being in real estate, I started doing videos of myself while I was driving and talking about my day and various, what's happening in that current time frame of, here's what I'm dealing with today. Here's the problem I was facing today. And I started having those videos so that I could go back and reflect and say, here I was 3 weeks ago. And one day I blogged about I was at Costco and helped some woman grab some stuff off of a shelf that was heavier for her. And I blogged about it to talk about like just how, if you don't always think that you have to be doing something to drive revenue for your business, like it was just a good deed and just being a good person, which reinforces things that I want to, as I'm building my legacy, like I want to be a good person. So it can be something as simplistic as that.
Yeah.
So the blog started out, or the journaling started out with that. Then it got into every morning getting up, and I would start writing about just my intentions for the day. And I would write down, and this is again the psycho, like we're getting up and going to a 5 a.m. class. So I'm up 3:50 in the morning downstairs, starting with my cup of coffee and blogging about like, here's what I want to get done today. And it's not, I'm getting back to Joe about his listing or this. Right. They're bigger things of like, I want to get my wife flowers today because I love her and she's very, very important to me. And I want her to know how important she is to me. Or like, I'm going to take my dog to the dog park. When I have a kid, it'll change of like, I'm doing X, Y, and Z for the child. And it could be things like that. Or, you know, Lane, our assistant that helps our team out, like she is doing such great things every single day. I want to make sure that she knows how appreciative we are.
Right.
So I'm going to do that. Right. Then it started into the intentions, setting my intentions for the day.
Yep.
Now it's evolved into, I'm speaking, and this sounds really weird, but a partner of mine in another venture that we're working on right now, he's on the leadership board there, and he started talking about blogs or journals to his future self. And what he's saying is like, hey, I bought the car that I've been wanting to buy, or we were able to buy an investment property for X, Y, and Z. And so the whole theory is, if you consistently write about, like, and it sounds silly, but if you write about something that you want to happen in the future and you continue to reinforce that, those things tend to happen. Yeah. And they fall into place for whatever reason. It's worked. And now that's become my new daily routine, where I'm talking about, I mean, now it's the holidays. And so we're talking about an event we have going on in a couple of weeks. And so we're discussing like all of the great success and how much we're going to be able to donate to charity and all that good stuff that we're incorporating in there.
Awesome.
So it's a unique, it's crazy how much it has turned from an original, like, you know, self-talk to now it's like future Steve, future family, which is, I never really thought it would morph that way. But again, it is always eliciting feedback. Like, what could you be doing better every single day in any area of life?
Yep, exactly. And the way you do it every single day, you've made a practice, you put into action, you set intention for the day, right? Before you even go. I mean, you set the course of what you're going to do, Steve. And as an entrepreneur, as a non-entrepreneur, I'm going to ask a question. Are you setting your course for the day intentionally and writing it down. That's part of journaling. And that you do that, Steve, that is fantastic. Now let's talk about the benefits.
Yep.
You've been journaling for a while. What tangible benefits have you seen that have come out from this process?
The benefit to me is there's so many things that go on in my life on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, right? And this allows me to go back and reflect, to go back and read what I had written down a few months back. Where was I at that point, and how have I changed and morphed? Because I find myself in this perpetual cycle of like, get up, go work out, do X, Y, and Z throughout the week, go sell and buy homes, go do that. And then you're done with it, and you close, and do all that good stuff, but you never really reflect on the bigger picture of, wow, I was able to help a family who couldn't qualify for a home for the last 20 years. And all of a sudden now we are able to educate them, bring them through the process, find them a home, and they are homeowners, which is like the American dream, right? Like that is when you look at it that way versus transactionally, which tends to happen because like we're obviously that emotional or that non-emotional third party at times, but if I'm able to reflect back of like, where was I with this family 6 months back? I would never be able to do that if I wasn't able to go back to whatever my mindset was 6 months ago.
Right.
But the whole thing is like, people claim they're so busy, right? We always think we're so busy, but I would claim that, well, maybe you're busy because you have that hour-long meeting that is just a time waster, right? Or that 45-minute commute into work. Well, during that 45 minutes, you can be listening to a book, or that's when I started the video blog of like, well, I'm going to actually like, it seems really weird. And I bet if you were driving next to me and you just saw me just speaking to myself in my car, you would think I'm just nuts, but it's good. And it just helps you reflect back on things and develop along the way. So.
Yeah, it does. It helps you reflect back on things. It helps you take a look. Okay, where am I? And I personally like to go into my journals 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and you see the transformation, you see the change because you're writing about what you're doing. You're writing about you in the day. So last question about journaling is, what advice would you have for someone, Steve, who doesn't journal today, who gets up every single day, goes out, and they're too busy. They don't have time. What do you say, or what advice would you have for someone who isn't journaling today?
I think so many people journal today, they don't even realize it. My generation, right? It's social media. It's a lot of Facebook, Instagram stuff.
Yep.
That, in a way, is journaling. Like, you're talking about your life. Maybe it's about a social issue. Snapchat. Like, there's so many different ways that people are doing it. They just don't realize it.
Right.
I would say, and this is coming from like more of a business owner, but it could be, again, whatever the audience is, it takes a little bit of time and practice, like any other regimen, right? Like now it's become a habit. Like, I do it. It's just something to do. It's ingrained in me. But to start out, it was a struggle. I was like, there would be days where maybe I'd miss 2 days in a row. And then I'd be like, oh crap, I got to add this again and rework and go back and do it.
Yeah.
But now that I'm seeing tangible results and I'm able to, like, now I'm seeing the benefit of it. Hopefully one day I'm able to like package it up and sell it to somebody and say, here you go. Here's some psychopath ramblings for the last 4 years. Because as I'm reflecting back now, like, I have journals from the day that I finally quit my job.
Wow.
Like, and that was, when I go back and see that and look at that, it's like, wow, we've come a long way. I have journals from the day that I started here and how scared I was and how overwhelming everything was happening. Everything was going on miles an hour. Right. I have journals from my wife's and I's like anniversaries and different things that it helps you in so many other ways outside of just productivity in the workplace. It's like, it's just like, you start talking about the things that are really important and you really get to see personal development, not just professional development, but it's miraculous how just reflecting on a lot of those things, it's it really is something that you can go back to, and it's a pretty neat tool to look back on. I think.
It is. It is. It's a fantastic tool to look back on and to help you in 2019. Next week, I am launching a journal for you. It's called Introspection to Inspiration. It's going to help you focus in on 52 words throughout the year, and it'll ask you questions so you can understand where are you, what do I need to do differently? How do I achieve this goal for the coming year? And it's packed with a lot of great support, and it will help you to create that habit that Steve talked about. So, Steve, I love to.
Just one thing to add to that is
Yeah.
I think, and this gets back to, I think we're flooded with a lot of stuff, right? Like we're inundated with information on a daily basis. There are so many productivity courses that you can take, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about you is, and this is because of our one-on-one, is like you can see how like you're learning along the way too. And like, I think as people are all in this together, like we're all going to continue to, like, it takes a certain breed to get into it, right? And I think what you're onto is genuine, and it's a pretty neat little system that you're coming up with. So awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Steve. Thanks so much. Well, how can people get a hold of you? I know you're in the Twin Cities area. You represent homes in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
We are both here in the Twin Cities, but let's say someone is, interested in possibly being a real estate professional, or would love to talk to you about representing them, from a house sale perspective or a buyer's perspective. How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can visit my team's website. It's GirtonHomes.com, Facebook, Instagram as well, at Girton Homes. But really, it's more like if you ever want to get a beer, grab coffee, and just like, I love meeting new people and stumbling across, like, if I would have never got together with you, we would never be here. It's amazing where life will, and I'm not a very religious person, but when you just take the leap into something, good things are going to happen, and you diversify your mentality. And I would say, like, if you ever like want to have an authentic conversation, like, I'm always accessible. Visit the website. I'm sure you can relay my email and whatnot as well. It's steve.gerten@evusa.com. We're down in Loring Park. My team's down here in Loring Park in downtown Minneapolis. Pop in whenever you want. I might not be here, but pop in, come see the digs.
Love it.
But I love meeting people who like are either on the right track to like building wealth or greatness or whatever their goals are, but they are making a conscious effort to do it. Those are the types of people that I want to surround myself with. And the people that are viewing this, obviously to some capacity, they are on that track as well. So always feel free to reach out to me, and even if it's via text, you can do that. So.
No, absolutely. And folks, Steve is for real. He's genuine. He takes time. He's a great listener, and he's a connector. So if you're in the Twin Cities area, definitely connect with Steve. And one thing, we may have a lot of people that are watching this right now. Let's say they're not entrepreneurs. But they have this idea. They're much older than you, Steve. They're my age, and they're like, gosh, he gets up at 3:50 in the morning. I can't do that because I have kids and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I go to bed at like 8 p.m.
Okay. See, he doesn't have kids. All right. Right there. Right. It's
just like my lifestyle. Like I am, I think that I am already 60, like in how.
but I'm gonna tell you, when the baby G comes, that's going to be different. It'll be a different lifestyle. But I want to know. I want to do a takeaway for someone who is 45 to 50 years old, Steve, and has this idea for a passion project. They're good at something, whatever it is, but they're really holding grasp to that monthly, that weekly, the benefits. What advice would you have them just to start, right? They continue to do what they do during the day, but what advice would you have them to begin to focus in on that thing or service, whatever it is that people say that they are very good at?
Yeah. I would say, like, do one thing that like take one step each day, right? You can't just jump in. I would say like it's kind of a compound effect. Like if you get better by 1% every single day, like you are, I'm terrible at math, but do the math, whatever it is, just get every single day.
Yeah.
It can be personal, professional, whatever it is, but like it's that whole adage, like don't live with regrets. If you have an idea, like at least give it a try and never say and look back like, man, I wish I would have done something. And that's what ultimately led me to do what I did now is I would always regret it if I never did it. I have people that I've surrounded myself with that support me. People that don't, like, I'm sorry, I've had to grow and I can't associate myself with them. So surround yourself with good people and just get better by 1% in whatever capacity it is. And eventually you'll hit that point of, wow, tends to snowball after that. It's that compound effect and things start kicking in and then you get your momentum. And once you get momentum, I'm a huge like Gary Vaynerchuk and Darren Hardy person. So I don't know if there are people out there, but if you're looking for motivation, those are two like go-to resources that like give you the real deal stuff and aren't going to sugarcoat anything. And they're going to tell you how it is. And those are two mantras of momentum and the compound effect that will kick in and just get better every single day in whatever capacity it is.
Right. Well, I hope you take Steve's advice to heart. Just do something and surround yourself with the right people. You're surrounding yourself right now. If you're still watching this, you're surrounding yourself with two inspired, impactful, focused guys who want to help you achieve your legacy. So, Steve, thank you for being part of the Productivity Expert series. You are an expert. Don't allow yourself, I got to coach you up right now. Don't allow yourself say, well, I'm not an expert. You know what? You can say that. You can say that I'm not elite. Well, you're doing things that normal people possibly do not do. You are elite. You put yourself at that precipice. You are moving in the direction that you're charting for yourself. You are elite. You are an expert, Steve. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. And tomorrow, there will be another interview focusing on an area of life that is going to power you in 2019, or whenever you're watching this, it's going to power you forward in your journey of life. Thank you once again, Steve, for joining me. And then lastly, where can someone get a hold of you?
Yes, I think we covered off on that, but if you just search Girton Homes, it'll pop up. You can find my phone number. You can find my email, all that fun stuff.
Awesome.
It's GirtonHomes.com or at Girton Homes on any of the social media sites. You'll be able to find us, message, anything you want. Like I said, it just takes a little, just message. You never know how one another can help each other. So just reach out, be vulnerable.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, be well and continue to move forward. And we will continue in the Productivity's Experts interview. Take care.